Hello everyone. Video lesson 17, Community Involvement in Rural Tourism. The content for the course would be Sustainable and Responsible Rural Tourism Development, Community Involvement in Rural Tourism, Partnership in Rural Tourism, Visitor Management, and Benefit and the Challenges of Rural Tourism. This course would include total 20 video lessons. The session 17, which would include Introduction to Community Involvement in Rural Tourism, Capacity Building for the Native Resident, Capacity Building Center at local level, Area of Capacity Building as well. This is the course involvement which we would discuss in this video lesson 17. Now, let's start with the community involvement in rural tourism. So, the community participation or involvement is viewed as a discussion or consultancy between the local people and the local government based on the report 1969. In addition to the report, it explained the involvement of both the parties' action of policies and proposal development also. Nevertheless, it is also as a comprehensive participation when there is a complete participation by local in planning procedure. Also discuss the public involvement is not solitarily about the facilitation between the local government and the local community, but it is an authorization process given to the local community for decision making as well. So, the tourism development in rural regions have generally occurred without the participation of the resident, that we also call as natives. Further, the development of tourism destination has largely been driven anthropocentrically without an overarching strategy that would consider the local culture, social, and environmental impact as well. Most of the time, it is unorganized. An incremental approach to tourism development with the protective role of resident is necessary, who can view it as an essential component to generate economical development in the region. Globalization and subsequent transformation of the economy from the erstwhile industry and manufacturing sector to the information and services has altered drastically the work environment, and the rural economy has not been exempt from its effect. As you can see, the necessity of the community is to take part during action or decision making process. They are also their own interest in addition to the society broad involvement, since preparation undertaking affect the community lives was enlightened in the detail by many authors. There are also numerous debates as why the community participation process is a vital from the perspective of professional and citizen working with local government, which has been developed by WHO as well. Rural communities has been begun to the focus increasingly on tourism to generate growth in response to a failure in attracting new industry as well as the decline of natural resource based industry. These are taught by the Jenkins and Troughton in 1998. Now, let us see the capacity building for the native resident. Before we going to this point, as capacity building of native resident, let us discuss something about literature point of view on this topic, which is our community participation in rural tourism or community play a significant role in adaptation by the literature review. The view of a local must be taken into consideration so that it will be aid attain worthy decision making process and manage resources completely and effectively. The professional in other pointer has proved that the involving of community might contribute to an enhanced decision making. In fact, community participation also has the probability and profitability to teach and accelerate their responsiveness by being more effective. Based on study conducted, there are also community participation in development will produce greater information exchange between the community and the planner, which can be a significant component by upkeep the information exchange between the community and planner as government and the proposed development also take place. To confirm the project plan will mirror out their aim, encouraging community to give their say and recognizing their opinion as concern is effectual and essential to be completed. Now, as you can see, there is also a need to create greater awareness and understanding about rural tourism amongst the local communities as they have a significant role in promoting the rural tourism. Institutional capacity on the Panchayat Raj has been strengthened. There is a need to build the community and the capacity of all the stakeholders which are involved in this rural tourism, which are namely as tourism service provider, tourism industry, that is particularly the unorganized sector, NGOs on the ground, travelers, and relevant central and state government agencies as well. In order to build the capacity and provide long-term subsistence to the rural tourism and responsible tourism, capacity building resource center need to be set up at a national, state and cluster level as well. Let's go with the knowledge about to be adapted as local condition and converted into, as you can see, these capacity building center at a local level. These resource centers will provide a platform for the stakeholders to enable knowledge exchange and interaction with the partners, education institute, government agencies, and volunteers as well. They will also act as a repository of knowledge for sustainable tourism practices, best practices, and experiences as well. This knowledge will be adapted to local condition and converted into applicable modules, solution set for the community involvement and MSME tourism service provider as well. Quantizes the modules, solution setup for regionals and cluster level adaptation and dispensations, keeping in mind the learning profile of the stakeholders. Develop standards toward more responsible and sustainable tourism for a range of stakeholders as well. Support local community-based tourism in an endeavor to make a community resilient in the face of a climate change and other threats as well. Capacity building of a stakeholder for responsible and sustainable tourism also. Now, let us have a look to the areas where this capacity building take place. Rural tourism in India take multiple forms. Rural and small town India has a tourism existing in many grabs such as community-based tourism, agri-tourism, eco-tourism, etc. Typically, these businesses are small and medium-sized and fall under unorganized sectors. Research shows that their enterprises suffer from multiple issues that obstruct their progress to become a successful tourism enterprises. Deep dividing into the issues has revealed several areas that are the rural tourism practitioners need to be assistance in, such as built heritage and maintenance, hygiene and basic service standard, spatial experience and value-added service, community participation, environmental impact, destination sustainability, responsible tourism, sale and marketing also. To provide these quality services and enriching experience to the visitor, there is a need to provide skill training in the relevant vocations for the rural tourism. Entrepreneurship development programs may be organized for local or rural youth so that they can develop market various rural tourism products. Various schemes are also be on the skill development and entrepreneurship could be leveraged for the same. As you can see, a study is done by many which describe that there is a significant to transfer information between the decision maker and the stakeholder as well. An explanation and swapping of the information and gaining the feedback from the stakeholder must be done to ensure effectiveness of the decision. Therefore, the access of the information should be viewed as a transparent process to gain public confidence on a development proposal for tourism planning. The World Health Organization (WHO) has proposed that public participation in planning and decision making is a human right since the process and decisions are made based on the public interest. There also that the study added that the participation in the decision-making process means that residents have an opportunity to voice their hopes, desires, and fears for the development and contribute to planning process for their own experiences.
Good morning everyone. Today I am representing Guru Nanak Prem Karamsar College, Nadala, Kapurthala. I am going to discuss about community involvement in rural tourism. Today we are going to discuss some key facts about community involvement in rural tourism. In India, 70% of its population live in the rural area. Rural tourism is the best option to explore India's true tradition, culture, heritage and festivals.
Community participation is one of the core elements of tourism development. A community can be a set of people with mutually recognized interest in the resource of a particular area rather than that as people lived in that area.
Tourism involvement is a physiological state of understanding, enjoyment, and interest in tourism. Studies have found an association between tourism, involvement, and quality of life, which has a positive impact on working life.
How are communities involved in tourism?
To develop tourism, local community participation is very essential. Local food, local culture, and festivals are add-on products to tourism, and it also provides authentic experience to tourists.
Why should the communities involved in tourism?
Tourism is a driver for peace. It helps to promote tolerance between people as they learn and better understand each other's culture.
Types of community involvement.
Direct service, direct product, economic development, community building, community education, and community organizing.
Villagers of Punjab are rich in tradition and cultural heritage. A majority of the state total population lives in the villages. The villagers live a life full of joy and entertainment, and they celebrate each and every occasion together. The villagers of Punjab are also considered the lifeline for the state as their economic, agriculture or industrial strength largely depend upon the villages. When the tourists stay in the rural areas, early morning visit the houses to see and feel how the day in the village starts. Men give part to their cows and milk them. The ladies of the house will light their hearths with cow dung and leaves to cook food. The Punjabi villagers farmers plough their fields with bullock. The visitors walk along the swaying mustard fields, take a ride on a tractor, take the cattle for grazing, feed the cattle, or simply sit, relax, and gulp down the fresh buttermilk in the green fields. The concept of rural tourism is a part of sustainable development. A major challenge of rural tourism is to preserve the environment and natural resources. Proper education, understanding between tourists and locals, and democratic movement will help in tourism development. We need to wake up to experience serene and pristine beauty that the rural India beholds. The rural economy plays an important role in the country's GDP. Agri-tourism includes farm stays, camping, educational visits, supply of farm products, making of handicrafts, and multiple recreational activities. Farm tour is the best way to explore farm operations. Forest tourism is an integral part of rural tourism and the best way to study natural habitat of plants and animals. Green tourism showcases an approach towards tourism development in rural areas. Ecotourism refers to the promotional activities of environmental conservation and direct benefits for local societies and cultures. Cow tourism includes opening up farms to tourists from urban areas and from abroad and letting them to take experience of rural life. Apart from telling them about the various indigenous and cow breeds and how they are kept and managed. Tourists can get experience of rural activities such as bullock carts, rides, milking cows and goats, and picking from fresh fruits and vegetables, etc. For many farmers, agri-tourism is the additional source of income and a way of promotion. Agriculture sector has the capacity to absorb expansion in tourism sector. Rural tourism in India is about highlighting rural art, life, heritage, and culture of the rural locations. Social and cultural heritage attracts most of the tourists to rural areas. Culture is a set of traits that are shared by the characteristics of human societies and are transmitted by non-genetic means. Tourists may cause long-term changes in the community's values, beliefs, cultural practices. This local community involvement in tourism activities is the key element to preserve the traditional culture in a community. Music plays an important role in rural tourism. Music provides an important and emotive narrative. Punjabi folk music is unlike any other you would have ever heard. There is no complication, no exaggeration, but still the tone and rhythm of the songs take you into a different walk. Music attracts the tourists. The culture of Punjab has its own unique fragrance. A guest in rural areas is considered as a representative sent by God. Kikli too is essentially a woman dance. Idi roti and sarson ka saag is famous food of rural areas. This food also attracts the tourists by increasing visitor demand for local food and drink and food tourists attract to the long-term sustainability of local agriculture, food system, communities and culture. The villagers celebrate each and every occasion together. The tourists also attracted by the local food of the rural areas.
community participation is one of the core elements of tourism development because it is a must of the sustainability of tourism industry. There are several sectors which are involved in tourism development like government, private sectors, various organizations and individuals. However, in that list of involvement, local community is probably the only legal and moral stakeholder.
When a community involved in tourism development, it grants them as an active partner and it provides check and balance. Since it has a particular stake in tourism and commitment to environmental quality, tourism can work for a long term and it is a feasibility depend upon support and involvement of local community. There are several examples when high local community is involvement in a tourism project has been successfully in community-led project in France, in Spain, in Scottish Island and in rural Greece.
Tourism development provides local people time to adjust to new environmental, social, and economic conditions and helps in preventing negative results of rapid uncontrolled development. Involving local people in determining their development will prevent any conflict which would definitely affect the sustainability of tourism. Community-based tourism have a high prospect in rural tourism development and its success depends upon better community leadership, support and participation of local administrative groups.
But there are various factors influencing local community participation in tourism development like lack of a financial support, lack of a tourism and knowledge, different view of tourism, dominance by the higher class people.
Community should make active participation in involved working, decision making, representation in structured communities. Community participation aim proper communication among local in facilitating better decision making and sustainable growth and development. The success of tourism development lies on the goodwill and cooperation of local community. And if local community aspirants capabilities does not match with tourism development and planning, then it might destroy the potential of industry.
Local communities should be willing to develop their own projects and cooperate with other stakeholders for the development of rural tourism in a given area. Method of resources planning, management and control should be consistent with the existing social structures. Therefore, assessment of the potential of the local community in developing a rural tourism product is one of the cornerstones of the general assessment of the potential of a given area for rural tourism development. However, communities and their stakeholders differ widely with respect to social, historical, and economic attributes that influence their attitudes toward a matter of social interest such as tourism development. Furthermore, the link between attitudes and participation in tourism development seems to be vague.
There are many benefits of rural tourism. Developing skills. The entire tourism and hospitality industry requires specific skills to cater to the tourist. The local community members start learning new skill sets once the tourists begin visiting the local area.
Preservation of local tradition. As tourists visit rural area to feel authentic rural setting, the tourism provide economic incentive to preserve culture and tradition. With increased urbanization and globalization, people are adopting global product, leaving behind the local tradition. Rural tourism encourages local communities to revive and preserve their tradition, craft, traditional festival, architecture and other unique practices.
Entrepreneurship opportunities. Tourism industry has an enormous potential to create new business opportunities as interested people can venture to a variety of sports services. There are immense entrepreneurial opportunities which can be generated on account of the rural tourism business.
Cultural exchange. It also promotes cultural as a local community share their cultural and traditions with the tourists and in the process also learn about their cultures.
Employment generation. The major advantage of promoting rural tourism is creation of employment opportunities, especially for those who do not have agriculture land to meet their economic needs. As tourism requires a multitude of services, local community members can engage themselves in variety of economic activities like accommodation, food and beverages, local guide and artisan, etc.
Improves quality of life. As social interaction take place between tourists and local people, rural tourism has an enormous potential to enhance the quality of life of the residents
they have access to global information, products, and services. Further, the local government also starts building up infrastructure like roads, electricity, hospitals, etc. as they see the movement of tourists in this region.
Festivals of rural areas are also attracts tourists. The festivals are like Lodi and Basant Panchami, etc. From the tourism perspective, festivals are significant because they are attracts tourists. They are important tourist assets of a given area. They are also tourist products satisfying the tourists' needs. Agriculture is the single most important source of livelihood for the majority of the rural population. But the rural is not just agriculture. Many activities that support agriculture and village life are also sources of livelihood for people in rural India. Assets of the potential of the local community members to participate in rural tourism development is an important component of the overall sustainability of a given area. However, further studies are needed to determine the factors facilitating cooperation and collaboration between local rural communities and other stakeholders of the rural tourism. Community-based tourism affords the inhabitants of the region to become tour guides and provide services to visitors.